All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, colleagues, from wherever you are joining from. We are very honored to have you, and thank you for sparing your time to be with us this evening, the 26th of February, 2023. So this is the second edition of the ASFI Science Seminar Series 2023, and we're happy to have you on board this evening. As the custom is, please use the chat box to introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you do, and where you're coming from, and try to exchange contact with one another. Some of you may be joining for the first time. The ASFI. ASFI is short for African Science Frontiers Initiatives. Science Seminar Series has been there for over 2 years now. Started early in 2021, and we have continued. So as you can see on your screen, we will be trying to dig deep into the issue of journal publishing in the medical, biomedical, and health sciences in Africa. These fields are important. They are important for any society. Medicine, health, biomedicine are important because they keep our health, our biology. They help us to understand how they function and to develop strategies in the form of medication, in the form of preventive strategies, and so on and so forth to live healthy. So it is the heartbeat of the society in the area of good living, health, disease prevention, and treatment. So it is an important field. And we will be seeing what we can do in this evening with the time we have. All right. The ASFI Science Seminar Series for 2023 is around the theme of ASFI for this year, research quality, productivity, and impact in Africa. Research quality, productivity, and impact. My name is Bright Warren, and I am the convener. Of this seminar series, and as well as the executive director of the African Science Frontiers Initiatives. My co-convener for this seminar series is Dr. Eman Sop, and Eman, I will let her welcome you as we kick off. Eman.
Hello, welcome everyone. Do you hear me?
We hear you, Eman. Go ahead.
Yes. Welcome everyone. My name is Iman Sobh. I am Associate Professor of Chest Diseases at Al-Azhar University, Cairo, Egypt. And I am the coordinator of Science and Communication of African Science Frontiers Initiatives. It's my pleasure to have you all here within the ASFI family. We hope you will enjoy this seminar series about publishing in the medical fields. And we hope attending and discussion, participation in these seminars and collaboration will share in improvement in your career and scientific pathway, and you will enjoy and maintain communication and collaboration. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Eman. It's a pleasure to have you this evening. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we have to kick off, and then we see how quickly we can leave. I have to send apologies for two of our speakers who plan to be here, but due to circumstances beyond their control, they couldn't. First is Professor Gabriel Oladipo from Nigeria, As you may know, Nigeria is having the presidential and the National Assembly elections. They had yesterday, and some places it still continues to today. The election is now being prepared to be announced. Announcement is going on. And you know, in Africa, these are not trivial issues. Anyway, Professor Oladipo was appointed one of the coalition officers in this election. So he sent his apologies as this clashed with this particular program, and we had already sent out to the flyer before this came up. All right, so please bear with him. And Professor Eman Etal Lawi is unavoidably absent this evening as well. So, but we are here, and we will try to engage ourselves and see how we can do justice to the discussions this evening. So this evening, I have the two speakers available this evening, and I will call them up when the time comes. Who will be representing the panelists? This is a discussion we all need to get into. So the floor will be open at the appropriate time, and we'll be happy to hear your voice on the issues we are looking at this evening. For the sake of those who may be joining us for the first time, and of course, for those who have been there, to continue to emphasize what we are here for, the ASFI's vision is to raise the next generation of African scientists who have the right competencies to drive Africa's developmental and transformation agenda through innovative scientific research. Africa is in dire need of transformation, and I believe that we all agree on that from every facet of our society. It is interesting trying to follow up what is happening in my home country, Nigeria, that some section of the society, some of the third force, media, and some non-governmental organizations that have been monitoring this election have been trying to persuade the electoral body to keep to their words. And that their words is that election will be updated online through the system they have put in place as they happen, okay, when the results start coming out. But so far, the results have not been put on that online platform as they promised. Now, why am I bringing this? One of the election monitoring organizations that has been there for some time now sent a press release saying that they have the results of the election from all the polling units, and they have the projections of what each candidate has got. And so they are monitoring the process. And if in any way the electoral body will not reflect what has happened on ground, they will be exposed. Okay, that is a very critical statement. That's a very critical statement. Okay, and why am I bringing this is that Africa, for instance, Nigeria, has been in a mess of manipulations, in a mess of a lot of things when it comes to things like civic duty of election. That, you know, in the country I live here in Sweden, when election is happening, I don't speak Swedish. Unless my children help me to tell me what is happening. I'm just like a blind man in the land of those who see. All right, but you see, if I don't read the news, if I don't get that information, election may go on here, and I don't know. Okay? It means that elections in this part of the world is seen as part of the society. It does not in any way disrupt what is happening. People will go to their work. There's no holiday given for that. All right? And this is the process anyway. They have grown, found strategies, developed their systems in a way that such civic duties are things you do naturally. You wake up in the morning, you go, or they can vote for some time. Can say vote for 1 week and people go and do it, or you can you can do it from home. They can send you your ballot papers and you can fill it at home, put your decision and mail it back to them. What this organization has put forth as a press statement is quite exciting to me, meaning that the electoral body does no longer have a sole custody of the process. And that is exciting because it seems that people have now started studying the process and then developing strategies to minimize disruption of the system, minimize fraud, minimize illegal activities. And so just to reflect what the ASFI vision is, that Africa needs to work again. Our great continent, blessed with many resources, human resources, natural resources, moral resources, we cannot continue the way we are. And so my fellow African researchers, scientists, whatever labels we used to call ourselves, we think that the next generation going forward, we need to develop ways we can make our continent a better place. The stories coming from there can be sweet to hear, And for you as a scientist, you cannot continue to occupy the back seat. We need to be at the forefront. We need to show that we can support the system. We can generate innovative ideas, innovative research that can transform our systems. So that is really the core part of ASFI vision, and our mission is to instill excellence. We want to instill excellence, and that excellence is something that is devoid of any manipulation, any guesswork. You need to be on top of the game. You need to be able to show that you can compete in your own area. So excellence thinking is really what we want to instill in Africans through competence acquisition, capacity building, and career development. I want to contribute to African science that tackles Africa's developmental challenges. Time should come, and we want this to be as fast as possible, whereby people do research to make name, people do research to just pursue their career, but we want a situation where people will do research to solve our problems. I've identified a problem in my society, in my community, in my field of research, and I want to devote my life to solve this problem. That is a story that we want to hear. All right? Yeah, I'll keep talking about that as we go along. So, because only a competent science, people who know what they are doing, people who know why they're doing what they're doing, people who know how to achieve what they set out to achieve. Only a competent science can change our current narratives. There's no other way. All right? There's no other way. Only a competent science. The politicians have failed. Can you imagine the Nigerian electoral election yesterday? We have not seen much violence, and we pray that there will not be more violence than what we witnessed yesterday. But people also died. Okay, people died. Things happen. Usually, the violence starts when the election results start coming out. Well, we pray that Nigeria will be, and please pray for Nigeria, because we want to really get it right this time. But these things are things that the politicians, instigate, make us to fight each other, bring their rhetorics in different coloration that will begin to generate hot blood, and people start doing things that are anti people. Anyway, so competence is very important. Our activities include seminars and workshops, seminars as we have now this evening. Last Friday, we had Dr. Warren's research tips and tricks. So those are some of our workshops we organize. And then we have hands-on courses related to scientific research methods. It's not sufficient to say, well, I have a PhD in this, I have a PhD in that, I have this degree in this area. It is being able to do it, execute, do it excellent. And many of those skills you will learn to do your research, many of those are not provided to you within the four corners of the university when you're studying your PhD. No, some of you can see what some of the things ASFI is doing here. Many of those have not been taught to you at doing your PhD. So you need to go into the streets, okay, and begin to get these ideas. And they come from experience, people who have generated experiences and able to help to support these hands-on approaches. So we try to provide hands-on courses, trainings that will support you around capacity building, career development, leadership, communication, scientific research methods. We also have mentoring program, and then we also have ongoing research works. We have trained almost 1,500 Africans during the last 3 years we started, and we hope to continue to do our best in that area. Up until December 2022, our trainings have all been free of charge. But starting from January, as we announced, we have started taking some fees for our trainings, very meager fees. And I believe that none of you will complain that they're expensive. In fact, the current course that application is going on now, we have tried to get people onto that course because it is very fundamental course. And so we have reduced the fees, very minimal, to ensure that as many people get onto that course, because that course is very fundamental to build and raise the African researchers to think in a different perspective from what they used to think. And so please try to do your best to raise funds and join these trainings. They are quite important. And we have done the trainings the last 3 years across over 40 African countries. And that is exciting. The feedback we get from you, and these are the things you would like to be having. All right, so when you come to our trainings, it's full of empowerment. There is hunger. We establish friendship, networking, collaboration. We emphasize on excellence. We highlight how you can improve your productivity, how you can improve research quality, and of course, we have exciting stories from different areas. Yeah, the theme for this year: quality, productivity, and impact. All the activities we are running this year will be surrounding this aspect, and we hope that we'll be able to persuade you to work in this direction as well. So we have lineup of programs for this year, and they are looking exciting. The science seminar series, as we have this evening, we have the first half of this year, January to June. We are looking at the landscape of journal publishing in Africa. Today, we are starting with the field of medicine, health sciences, and biomedicine. Next month, we'll be going to engineering and technology, and we'll go to arts and humanities, we'll go to social sciences, and try to cover as many fields as possible within the first half of this year. And then within the scope of the theme, quality, productivity, and impact, the last 6 months of this year, we'll be looking at landscape of research funding. And that is one thing that many Africans struggle with. Okay, how do I get funding? Where do I find funding? And so on and so forth. All right, we have courses coming up, and please try to visit our website, and we have been able to try to circulate this across board. Yeah. Now, the course that is ongoing now, quality, productivity, and impact. Actually, the theme of this year, we have a course on that. The application is ongoing, and you have received information about that. Please make sure you take advantage of that, particularly ASFI members. This is why you are a member. Your fees are subsidized. You can see that. So I don't think anybody will complain this. No, I can't attend this course. There is as I know in Nigeria, there is a restaurant called Chicken Republic. Chicken Republic. I don't know whether I've not been there before. So the name sounds like they eat too much chicken there, but people can go there and spend just at a sitting, spend more than what they will used to have a course of 12 weeks. In Nigerian money is 15,000 naira, just $30. You can spend more than that. So this is lifelong skills and knowledge you gain. All right. So ASFI members, take advantage of this. And you know that to be able to benefit from the membership discount, you have to pay this course fee on or before the 10th of March. After that, it goes to $50. So take advantage of the time. All right. What $50 and $30, they are not too much. So if you want to wait and pay the food, is no problem. But if you're not an ASFI member, we'll have some discount code I've given to some organizations. So if you have not received that from us, then don't worry about that. But if you are not an ASFI member, it is $100. If you are an African person, or if you are from outside Africa, then it's $200. So there is benefit to be an ASFI member, as you can see. All right, so we cover in this course different aspects of the research process, and try to emphasize the issues of quality. It's not a course you will miss. And we have spread it over 12 weeks. I've spread it over 12 weeks so that it will give you time to think about these issues. It will give you time to brainstorm, discuss, read more, reflect. All right. So we will be doing that. So the course will help you to build a solid culture of research quality and impact. It will teach you how to think quality and impact at each phase of the research process. It's a hands-on course, so it will provide you hands-on tools to implement quality at each phase of the research process. And then it will unmask what the meaning of quality, impact, and productivity are. And then it will guide you on how to achieve quality, impact, and productivity. At the same time, maintaining your research integrity. Many scientists, the vision to try to develop high productivity, then mismanage the research integrity. So ASFI members, we have sent information about this. And one thing is important to just announce now is that on the 15th of March, 2023, we have planned the general first or maiden general assembly of ASFI members. It's exciting time because there will be unveiling the different programs, the different structures, the different groups that will be forming within the assembly, and then allowing you to begin to see what it means to be an ASFI member in essence. So please register, and then you can join us on the 15th. All right. Finally, today's seminar, journal publishing in medical, health, and biomedical sciences in Africa. State of the art, barriers, global competitiveness, barriers, and facilitators. It's a panel discussion, as I mentioned before, and I will this time be introducing the panelists. Two of them who are here. I have Dr. Nidal Essa. Nidal is joining us from Sudan. She's an assistant professor from the University of Medical Science and Technology in Sudan. So she will be one of the panelists this evening. So welcome, Nidal, and we are grateful that you accepted to be on this panel.
Good evening, Prof.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome, Nidal. All right, and I have Dr. Daniel Onwusulu. I hope he's Sarah. Okay, yeah, I see him coming in. Yes, Dr. Onwusulu, you're welcome. He's a medical doctor, and he's I think an associate professor from the university.
Senior lecturer for now.
Senior lecturer from Nnamdi Azikiwe University in Nigeria. So we are happy to have you, Doc, this evening to be part of this panel. All right. So to start, I would like to ask you: do you have any introductory remark to make before we start? Any conflict of interest you want to say, or do you want us to just continue? Nida, let me give you the first opportunity.
No, thanks, Prof. I didn't have any things. I really appreciate your opportunity, and I hope the discussion will improve research impact in Africa.
Thank you.
And we make it better.
All right. Dr. Onwusulu, what about you?
Well, I have no conflict of interest to declare. I'm just happy to be here to discuss issues related to African journals and globally. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Please be taking note. Be taking note of the discussion. If you want to ask questions, please post them on the chat box. We'll be looking into them as we continue. All right. Okay. Let me go back to Nidal. The first question I have here is that from your fingertips now, do you know which are the leading journals in medicine, health, medicine, or in your field in Africa? Do you know which one?
Yes, there is an African Journal of Reproductive Endocrinology or Reproductive Health in Africa, and it belongs to the international database of it.
Is that only one?
No, I think it's almost 13 journals that specialize in reproductive health or endocrinology in general for my specialization.
And the important journal, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay. The same question goes to you, Dr. Onwusulu. Do you know which journals are leading journals?
in medicine? That is your area in Africa.
To me?
Yes.
Okay. There are quite many journals in science in Africa, but two that really have the one that I know that possibly has high impact factor and is highly rated is Nigerian Journal of Clinical Practice, to the best of my knowledge, Nigerian Journal of Clinical Practice. And then following that is West African College of Physicians and Surgeons Journal. These are the ones I know. Then the other ones that are coming like obstetric journal owned by Society of Gynecologists. This one I really know. This as far as my area is.
All right. Now, just hold on there, Dr. Oslo. Do you know which are the leading journals in medicine globally?
Well, one that can really come to my mind now. Well, it's not like British Journal of O&G. That's what I can think of. And what again? It can't really. It doesn't really come to my mind now. But I know one or two others I can think of.
All right, Nidal, the same question for you. In your area or in medicine, in biomedicine, which leading journal in the world?
Yeah, the BMC, Nature, and endocrine, European endocrine journals also. There are a lot of them. But I think in Africa, all the journals that specialized in medicine or in biomedical researches, they all are under the umbrella of the African Journal Online Database. And they are not as much as in compared to the US or European journals. But I think there is this tiny number will make a difference in compared to the others, because also we have low research in Africa. We compare also to European or Americans, and even in the numbers of researchers, we have almost 100 something researchers for one population. But in UK, as example, you will find that more than 4,000 researchers or a clinician for the population.
Okay, we'll come to some of those, Nidal. Thank you very much. While I was asking you, I know that it's not, of course, you will not be carrying the list of journals around, but I just wanted to know how easy it is for an African researcher to identify journals in their area of expertise that are in Africa compared to what they know about journals in the world. All right, because as we know, the journals outside Africa are top notch, and people tend to know them more than the journals around their region. Nida, I start from you on this. Have you published in any of the African journals you mentioned in your field?
No, I just tried one with African journal, and I found the process is too long for the manuscript submission, so I turned to another European journal.
What do you mean it's too long? Is it how long you stayed on this? Is it on the computer?
Manuscript submission and
review?
back. Yeah, from the reviewer.
Okay. So the review process is long.
Yeah.
Longer than what you get from journals outside Africa.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. Dr. Onwusulu, have you published in any of the African journals in your field you mentioned?
Yes, like Tropical Journal of ONG, and I think Nigerian Journal of Clinical Practice too. I think we published there, and a few others. So yes.
Okay. So how often do you submit or publish in African-based journals in your field?
I think
Okay.
No, Nida,
Is it
just where
me?
I'm asking Dr. Onwusulu. Let me.
Yeah, it's like I do publish because though I joined as a senior lecturer in about 2019, that's when I actually intensified my publishing. So, and since then I've been publishing like about twice per year now.
And you send
Twice
them to the local journals. How often do you go to journals outside Africa?
Yes, I think more often than even the local journals because of I go I can even publish. I think I have more on the international journals than especially the open access whatever. Like
Okay.
the one I have just currently now is the journals and others.
All right. So Nidal, you said you have submitted once, and due to the long duration of the review process, you sent it out. Is that the only factor that makes you to go abroad?
no, actually also because for the promotion criteria, according to my university, you have to publish it in international indexed journal. So it will not be counted as a promotional point. Therefore, it's better for me to publish in an European or an American journal than I think we all had the syndrome of publishing abroad. We're all fascinating by the European or American, and we feel like that we are more bigger or international researchers than local.
So from what you are saying, Nidal, you have interest more publishing outside Africa than publishing Africa.
Yeah, according to my to be promoted, yes, I have to publish.
To be promoted.
Yeah.
Okay. So the promotion aside, if there is no requirement of publishing abroad, international journal, what would be your attitude in that case? Will you go back to African journals or?
Yeah, for seeking for collaboration and national improvement, that because there is a benefit in the local or national African journals that you have the ability and the opportunity to be known within your continent, and their problems will be more interesting for your colleagues from other African countries than the international one. To some extent, we have all African countries have the same problems, medical or research problems, and it will be more interesting for Africans rather than the international.
Okay. All right, Dr. Onwusulu, you said that you have published more outside Africa than within African journals. What is your motivation for that?
Yeah, there are really well, the main motivation for publishing in foreign journals more than the local journals. One is sometimes it's cheaper than to publish in foreign journals to just have some discounts for countries, developing countries, and all that. And then again, the review process is not that very rigorous. Unlike our own, so much delays and all that. I remember a particular journal I think it was Tropical Journal of ONG. It almost took 2 years before we could get it published. Delays here and there. Then the other thing again, the requirement of the university for promotion, just like Nida said, is an issue. You're expected to publish journals, foreign journals with high impact factor, especially now that is one that is being assessed for promotion to the professorial cadre. So all those things. So these are some of the motivations for publishing in foreign journals.
All right. Thank you for that. Nida, let me come back to you. Now, you have different regions in the world, and you have different journals that come from different regions. How do you think African-based journals in your field compare with similar journals from other regions of the world?
I think there is a huge gap between them in the amount of research, the availability of researches, they found it, and they already published. And I think even as examples, one example for the European Society Journal, I think the gap is big, because we didn't have the high rate of researches in Africa. For me, as example, in the last previous year, I didn't publish any result of my work due to different situations we have it in Sudan, the revolution and the different instability of income and so on. So I think there is the instability in different African countries will throw back the research cycle.
Okay, so you think that in comparison to journals in your field from other regions of the world, African journals compare less?
Yeah, sure. And not just in my specializations. Generally, you'll find that.
Yeah. I want to focus on your specialization in your area.
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Owunsulu, do you have the same opinion? Please omit yourself before you speak, Dr. Owunsulu.
Yes, I have almost the same feelings or contribution toward, because yeah, African journals are quite rated low because most of our studies sometimes because of poor funding, there are many epidemiological studies, not much of in-depth studies, laboratory-based studies, and all that. So our journals are really rated low, and again, we said that. I remember there was this when we were doing a systematic review, and we noticed that somebody used produce about 3 or 4 manuscripts, or maybe 3 or 4 publications from just one study, like they just like turning data up and down, and so just to multiply journals like that. So I think it's not really rated compared with the journals outside Africa, because of all those things.
All right. You mentioned the quality of the research that are produced within Africa as one of the factors. So what you mean by that? Is it that the quality of the manuscript articles are poor compared to
yes,
okay.
them are. And it's not that because we cannot really produce high quality journal, but because of funding is very poor, and therefore we're not able to really invest in researches. So most of the time we just do that to get promoted and not to know.
Nida, do you agree with that? That the quality of papers and articles from Africa are poor, and that is why African journals are rated lower than other regions?
I think this is one of the factors of the mortality of the journals, that the quality of research and also the quality of manuscript was not in the international standards, and the possibility of being rejected is more than the research is done in European or American countries.
Yeah, Dr. Aonsulus was alluding to the fact that lack of funding of research may cause the poor output of the research. Do you agree with that?
Yes, also the infrastructure is not well constructed for research. Even the laboratories will not are not highly prepared or with advanced skills to promote and to perform with international researches. The infrastructures also play a role.
But yeah, but is funding the primary thing for poor output? Because before you get the funding too, you need to have an excellent proposal to get funding.
By the way, the researches that funded on collaborative researches, they have more opportunity to be cited and published more than the individual researches or that researches that haven't an international collaboration. You find that the most cited or published researches, that is the collaborative researches between African and other countries, American or European or even Chinese researchers. But if you see in compared to the African collaboration, it will be less cited.
Yeah, but now if you Dr. Onwusuli, if you are able to publish more outside Africa, it means that because the quality of work in journals outside Africa should be higher, really, before you can get into those journals.
Yeah.
So what is the secret? Because it means that you had to advance your writing to publish in journals outside Africa. Can every African scientist do the same? Can they publish outside Africa?
No.
Why not?
The competence, the university have it is also impact on the researcher performance. I think also the work load will affect the quality also of the research. The priority is for the research or other administrative work or whatever. I think also will play a role in affecting the research.
Now, let me understand, because there is an interesting aspect you're bringing here. For the African scientists, do they have the natural competencies to compete in publishing in international renowned journals? Do they have that?
Dr. Omusulu?
I would think so. I would think so. I think the issue is really funding. If we're well funded and then well funded and encouraged, that really encouragement, I think we'll be able to publish in international journals more. Like somebody like me, the much I know I've really done a lot trying to develop myself, being here and there, training myself in scientific writings and all that. One, partly is individual, and then issue of motivation through financing. I think we cannot really separate it from the issue of publishing in international journals. We have the potential. We need the motivation. We need the financing too.
Yeah. So the potentials, where do you get it from? Because you say you have to train yourself. Then is it within the university circle that you train yourself, or where is the potential in the first place?
Well, first is interest. The interest has to be there. Yeah, let me just say, yes, one thing, yeah, because before I joined the university, for instance, I'm also like, was in in tertiary institution, federal government tertiary institution, working, and it took me quite some time. So when I came into the university, it's like, okay, this is what I want now. Let me just pursue this, become what I want to be. But for young lecturers, for instance, they come in, they say, the academics, there's no money in it. They want to get money first. So because of that, they want to just, they're not really, most of them are being, some people are being paid even to come into the academia. They would prefer to be something like federal medical centers where they work and just get high pay. So, but if you have, for instance, felt, well, I have some little money with me, okay, let me face academics. So there's that's encouragement. If that's why I keep saying encouragement, motivation, financing. If people are well paid in the universities and they can face it and publish work. So finance is a very important factor in publishing.
Okay, Nida, let me come back to you. With your experience, do you think the typical African researcher has the potential and is ready to compete globally with regards to the publishing landscape and what is obtainable in the publishing?
Yes, I think it is like the spirit of any scientist or a researcher to have his fingerprint or a good repetition in his career. So I think as a researcher, it is like a written of favor for what you have learned before and how to develop your area for your children and for your next generations. So I think, yes, we all the Africans, or in generally, they are committed to develop their countries. And I think there's a lot of researchers here, or scientific researchers, academic, joining this discussion for their intentions.
If I jump in there, Nidal, in your field, you have where do you collaborate in Africa? I mean, within Africa, which countries do you collaborate with?
Yeah, I collaborate with different African countries, Nigeria, Ghana, for my systematic review. We are working in a systematic review of polycystic ovary syndrome in Africa. So there is a collaboration with my colleagues.
Those colleagues you have now, how many of them are able to publish in Nature? How many of them are ready to publish in Nature? Nature journal.
Yeah, but to be honest, for me, I will not have this try or attempt to jump directly to Nature because I think it's an international with high impact, so the rejection rate will be more, and I will lost my motivations or my ability, or I will be stuck in the negative feedback of rejection that I have.
What do you need? What do you need to publish in Nature, Nida?
Qualified laboratory and advanced instrument. I have it.
And you don't have qualified laboratory?
Yeah, I didn't think we didn't have.
You don't have that, okay?
Yeah.
So there is infrastructure and institutional factor here.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Then
yes.
you as a person, are you ready to write a paper for Nature?
Yeah.
You're ready to write a paper for Nature?
Yes.
You have the competencies to write a paper for Nature?
Yeah.
And your colleagues you collaborate with, they have the competencies to write for Nature?
Yes. Yeah.
You think so?
Ideas already, yeah.
Okay. Dr. Onwusulu, what is your experience?
Well, I think it's almost the same thing, that our laboratories are not well equipped, and so if we're able to have standard laboratories, as I said before, we have laboratory-based studies, and then collaboration will become very easy, and then we can publish in such high-quality journals. Yeah.
Okay. One of the things you mentioned was that due to the university policies that you need to have international publications. I know that once you start publishing in international journals and you start becoming successful, then there is that attraction that you maintain it there. Because when you publish in international journals, your visibility increases more than it is in Africa. Your potential for collaboration will increase. And there is also clear career opportunities that may increase when you publish outside, because people will start knowing you from outside Africa. You can get invitations, for instance, to come to international conferences and things like that. But what that does is that it takes away the opportunities to publish in Africa and the opportunities for African journals to grow and become competitive, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So such policies, what do you think it does
Yes, it is.
for African journals to globally compete? Nida.
Research policies in the beginning, the starting point. We have to SWOT analysis our strengths and weaknesses. We have it. Then we can grow up. Also, the ethics policies will also improve the research quality and will diminish the chance of plagiarism. Also increase the motivations of our researchers who published in the African journals will increase. Also the possibility to be indexed and to decrease the mortality rate of the African journals.
Yeah, Dr. Onwusulu, what do you think about the question? If you, due to the university policies, you publish outside, when you publish outside Africa, it means that there is a denial of publication in African journals. And once you start publishing outside, there is an attraction to keep publishing outside Africa. And then if most people are doing that, African journals do not have the opportunity to grow. So what do you think about such policies?
Well, I think the reason why our universities may be doing so for now is because of the lack of standardization. As many we have studies that can be registered in, can be registered in Scopus. If we can have our publication journals, in Scopus and Lancet and all that, because of high quality work, then I think the university can equally, because the university, yes, recommend if you have works published in Scopus and all that, Lancet and all that, that's okay. African works, yes, it's not necessarily just publishing in order, but if we can, standard is the main thing in short. If our works are standardized, we'll be able to register some of our whatever in Scopus and all that. So it won't really affect. I don't know. I don't know what I really.
But how do you? Yeah, because if you talk about Lancet is a British journal. Nature is a British journal. In the area of medicine, you have Nature Medicine. You have New England Journal of Medicine, which is an American journal. Those are country-based journals, but have international reach. They are internationally renowned. So in that sense, African-based journals can also be international renowned journals if we begin to make impact outside Africa. But the question is, how can African journals make such impact? And then you have a policy from the university that encourages you to publish outside Africa. And once you start publishing outside Africa, you will continue, and the African journals, you will deny them opportunity to publish your research. And perhaps those research can make African journals international. So how can African journals reach an international level in that?
I think if we're able to invest in research in Africa so that we produce high quality works, we're able to, I think through that, our journals can become of international standard. It's an issue of funding and standardization. When we produce high quality works, it can compete with those in the international arena. So funding is, I still keep saying, it's very, very important. If that is done, the trend can be reversed so that we can rate our works the same with those international journals.
Yeah, Nidal, what do you think?
I think, Prof, one of the things that we can also work with the mentoring program and the training program. Also, we can make the training program like manuscript writing, proposal writing, and even research writing as an routine or the main components of the research curriculum in the universities, so we can increase their ambitions to research and the importance of research, because if we look for the undergraduate and they have the options to select between doing research and applied research or qualitative research, they will move for qualitative, or the way that easily will be applied for their research. It's not will go through the complex research process to have it. So I think we have to also change the perspective or the attitude of the undergraduate to increase their beliefs or perceptions towards the research and the importance of research, then it will be growing up. The mentoring program also will have the supervisors and the professors will also move the information they have. Even their professors maybe they learned outside and they can deliver their information, what they learned outside to the young researchers. So it also will increase the possibility of the new generations to be more competent for research in Africa.
So what you're saying, Nidal, is that the African researcher has opportunity to be developed.
Yeah, for sure.
So there is room for improvement. It means that finishing your PhD, you are not there yet to make major contribution, is it?
Yes, actually, one of the things that I discovered after I finished my PhD is that, wow, I finally did something, but I realized that no, I started my career after I finished my PhD. The real career that I have it. So I think it's after you finish your PhD, you that you have to start your real career and to develop through research.
Okay, so are there opportunities from your institutions that create opportunity for African researchers to begin to develop their competencies in science communication, publishing, and so on and so forth? Are there opportunities in your institutions for such?
Yes, yeah.
So,
yeah.
so your institution provide those opportunities? Yes,
yes. And I think the research has become one of the priorities in the strategic plan of our university.
Okay.
Before that, it is not that much interest in research, but now the situations change.
All right, Dr. Onwusulu. Now, what do you think from what Nidal has responded? From your own experience, do you think that the opportunities are there for African scientists from your own field and your own country to make major contributions?
I think the opportunities are there really. Like recently, our Vice Chancellor started investing in a molecular lab and all that. So if we're no longer really. I think it's just a question of time. We'll get to the level where we'll be doing studies that will really compete with those of international standard. And
Dr. Onwusulu, I want to cut you. I want to cut you there because I know that the Nigerian academic staff just returned from is it up to 8 months industrial strike?
8 months. Yes.
8 months, and they were crying for salary. So, and you said the opportunities are there. Have they paid your salary and then they started creating opportunities for you? I want to really understand that.
Well, the salaries are not paid, but I don't know, but the university is trying to invest in all those things, how they're getting the money, whether the money for those ones, they come differently because we have things like debt fund and all that they can use and they invest in research and all that.
And if you invest in those and you have not paid people for 8 months, how would they do the research?
Well, people are demoralized, but because one has to publish, because if you don't publish, you're stagnated. At least So one has to really just manage to do something despite the hunger.
Yeah, that's like suffering, smiling.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Before I let the audience start coming in, Nidal, one thing I wanted to bring up was that you mentioned from the beginning that one of the things that actually encourage you to, in addition to university policy, encourage you to send your paper outside African journals was the long duration of review process. So it means that the journals also have internal factors that may discourage the African scientists to submit to them.
Yes.
So apart from the review process, one of the things that encourage people to submit their papers to journals may be how easy is the submission process, how easy is it to follow to get instructions of what to do, the ease in communication between the journal and the researchers who submit to them, the efficiency of the review process, as you mentioned earlier, the costs of publishing, and so on and so forth. So apart from the long duration of the review process you mentioned, are there other factors you think can discourage an African scientist from submitting their papers to African journals?
Yes, I think one of the factors that also may affect the writing style and the language editing system also will affect the process. They are very restricted to the total number of pages in the article. The process of proofreading also will affect. And I think also one of the things that we have to put in our mind, to encourage the African researchers that even if you want to reject their articles, you have to be positively supported, that not to be the rejection letter as tough as scan, because we know the situation in Africa. So it should be more positive, how to improve your work to avoid the rejection, to be rejected again. So not just I reject your paper and you have to start the journey again with another journal. No, I want to improve your skills and also to increase the index of my journal. So it is a win and win to win relationship. I want to keep you as an author in my journal list, and also I want to improve my journal rank. So the rejection.
Yeah, but my question is that for you, one of the things that discourage you from publishing in African journal is the long duration of review. So are there other factors that discourage you from publishing in African journals apart from this long duration of?
No, no. I think it's more benefit for me to publish in African. It's an open access journal, and you will have the opportunity to be cited more, even.
In African journals?
Yeah.
You have opportunity to be cited more. Okay, so why will you think that you have opportunity to be cited more?
Because I need to seeking for collaboration in other African countries, so it will be easy to communicate And the competition rate, if I want to submit for an grant or a scholarship, it will be easier for me to collaborate with African country as a competition.
So you think that if you publish in African journals, you have better opportunity to be cited more?
Yeah.
Really?
Fight, yeah, the international fact that when you are citing in the international journal, you'll be cited more. Yes.
Oh, okay. Let me go to Dr. Omosuru. Nidal mentioned one of the factors being long duration of the review process in addition to university policy. For you, what are some of the factors that discourage you from publishing in African journals?
In addition to what she said, incidentally, we found out that publishing in our African journals seems to be more expensive. You know, it can be as high because it put, you know, some of these things are, you know, in dollars. So at each time there's inflation, you see yourself paying so much, and sometimes it could be as high as 500,000 to publish in a local journal. So you begin to wonder, 100 to 500,000. So, and these monies are not there. So that's another thing. Then again, except for a few of them, sometimes the review process, because you know, you need to learn through the review too. When you have a thorough, you know, sometimes some of those international journals, you have better review that makes you to even, you know, improve the more. Some of them, a few of them are not really so wonderful in the review process. So you don't really gain so much in a few of them, in some of them anyway. So it's like the standard is higher. So published in the international journal, you tend to go higher and higher. But more importantly, is this issue of cost too. Very, very important. The cost seems to be more expensive. When you can publish in an international journal, you may be having a rebate, developing countries, maybe $30, $40. You see yourself paying 4 or 5 times that when you want to publish locally. I think that's just the maintenance, apart from the university policies and all that, which
Okay, so there is a high cost that is introduced. And none of you mentioned the issue of editorial policies. Do African journals have fantastic editorial processes? Nidal?
No, I didn't think that they didn't have. But I think the editorial has its role in that if they are indexed journal, they will be more specified in their work or more expert in their area. So even if they reject it or accept it, it will be counted for the journal. As I understand that the editorial board play a major role in the repetition of the journal globally, or to be indexed or not.
Okay. Well, our time is fast spent, but a number of things are coming up from what you have discussed.
Prof, I want to return back to the universities and the salary of the researchers. I didn't think that should be the same budget. It will be separate, because if I have to spend my salary in doing research, it will be difficult, and it's more pressure and stress for the researcher to be focusing on his work. I think it will be should be separate budget, that there is a separate research budget to apply research according to the university strategic plan or policy, or what they want their university to reach as international. And the other one thing that I need satisfactions of my employee to be in the high 8. So I think it should be separate.
Well, we'll come back to the issue of funding from July when we are going to the aspect of funding during the half of this year. The next thing I would like to do is to discuss the way forward, but I would like to open it so that others can contribute. Then we'll look at way forward, because from what you have discussed now, I see aspect of contribution from the researchers. There is an aspect of contribution. You mentioned the things of competencies. I mean, the final point you made was balancing between your teaching responsibilities, administrative responsibilities, and then having time and the financial support for research itself. So there is an aspect that the researcher contributes to this issue. And then you also have the institutional aspect, the support the institution can give, the institutional policies that actually encourage African researchers to publish more in African journals than actually publishing, publish more in international journals than African journals. And then you have, of course, the aspect of the journal review process, being too long and discouraging, poor editorial standards, costs of publishing. So putting all this together, I think we can use the next 20 minutes we have now to discuss way forward. But if there is anybody who wants to come into this issue briefly, both on the things that we have discussed so far, if there's additional things you want to bring, and then we can all discuss way forward. So Eman, I see your hand, please. You can kickstart, then others can join.
Yes, thanks, Bright, for bringing this discussion. I think for Egypt, most of these factors work, but there is some other things like the publication fees for local journals are paid in Egyptian pounds, and some sort are low compared to international journals. But those journals with impact factor or who are indexed in indices like Scopus or Web of Science, some of them have publication fees in dollars, and almost lucky or near that of other open access journals. So there is no motivation to choose them to publish in local journal with impact factor compared to international journal. As well as there is some sort of discrimination when you as a national submit a paper to a journal with high impact factor, then you get a lot of disk rejection, and the same work is published in other journals outside your country or your continent. So they sometimes, I think, they work to have international authorship, so they reject local papers without reviewing or without complete evaluation for them. This I faced many times in Egypt and also here in Mediterranean region. So the feelings that you have been discriminated as a local author, and your work is rejected once few minutes or one day after submission, is a factor that discourages you from resubmission in these journals again. The third factor is the editorial process. The editorial process vary according to the position of the journal, but in Egypt now there is some sort of initiative This is to improve the publication process in all Egyptian journals. They train authors and editorial offices of Egyptian journals and help them to improve the publication process and getting indexed in all indices they want to apply for, and support them, train them, monitor them, and the training with trainers from international publishing companies. And this is a good initiative for them. The third factor is pressure made by universities and institutes to get ranked through publications. This push the authors or the researchers to publish away from local journals, and also they want to get promoted rapidly. So when you publish in journal Q1 indexed, you will be not evaluated, and when you publish in local journal, your work is re-evaluated again and get credit, very low credit, and the number of authors is multiplied by factor, and so this will throw you away. Don't publish here again, and so our journals will stay the same way. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, Eman, you have mentioned a number of things, but you didn't bring up what can be done. For instance, the last thing you mentioned now, I always have challenges with the issue of indexing.
Yes.
When you say
No.
when you say Q1 index, impact factor, scopus, the issue is that those systems have criteria for selecting a journal to be counted in their databases. And the challenge is that some of those criteria, African journals will not meet up those. In essence, you discourage by making a criteria that you need to have papers indexed in this or that. You discourage African scientists from publishing African journals because they are not indexed.
Yes.
But for a journal to be indexed, then you need to have publication profile, you need to have, you know, those things. And the only way African journals can get into being indexed is that people publish in them and they publish good research. So if you're using the criteria from the Western countries to judge African scientists, then those criteria will eventually make sure that African journals don't grow because people publish outside because they need to publish in journals that are indexed, and you're not indexed.
Yes, this is improved in Egypt by the presidential initiative, Egyptian Knowledge Bank. They train authors and researchers across Egypt, starting from manuscript writing, clinical research issues, and so on, and to improve their writing. Also, they give opportunity for them to get language editing and scientific editing for free. And also for journal officers, editors, and reviewers, and those administrators, they also get trained, and the journals itself improved the website and improved the administration process and help them to get qualified for the indices requirements. And this has made great improvement across Egypt. But also this, when you train those authors to get a high quality work, they will seek to publish their work in high quality journals to get promoted and also to get the credit of all advantage of international authorship. You should, as you say, you should encourage publication in local journals. So these journals will grow by the work done in Africa, not only by meeting the criteria and seeking for international authors to publish in your journals. This is a win-win situation. Encourage authors and encourage journals at the same time. But don't ask me for requirements for promotion, which are more than the capacity of journals present in my country or my continent. So, by the way, I will go there, and no credible work will be published there unless you want to get fast publication or money restrictions and so on.
Yeah, but the aspect of the policies the universities have, you are working at the university and you are staff. I don't know how much comfortable African researchers, lecturers, teachers are with the university policies of where to publish. Considering all these factors, what is your opinion? What do we do with these policies?
Should be changed. Think of you have to publish single work, you will get credit, more credit than when you publish multiple authors' work. When you publish in Q1 journal, you will get more credit than when you publish in Q4 journal. When you publish in Q3 or Q4 journal or not indexed journal, your work is re-evaluated and get a mark to be promoted. How this works, how this improve production and improve collaboration. If a single author get more credit than multiple authors. This is not logic. I think there should be, the credit should be to the work itself, how it will benefit the society, how it will improve scientific knowledge, not how where it is published, or because there is difference between different study designs, and each study design and each topic of research has its place to be published in to get advantage for the society. What will the global science do with work done in Africa and published there, and African didn't know about this work? How to improve Africa for work if anyone don't know about it?
All right.
Yes.
Please, if you have comment, please raise your hand so that we have around 10 minutes or so to complete this discussion, and I hope you are noting the point that have been made. But Eman, don't mute yourself yet, because I have something else to ask you. You used the Egyptian example, the Egyptian Knowledge Bank, the effort the government is making to encourage the journals, but how is it for the typical Egyptian scientists? Are they naturally ready to publish high quality scientific papers, or do they go for opportunities to develop themselves to do that?
Yes, recently there are a lot of opportunities for self-development as a scientist. I just compare with before 5 years and the last 5 years. There is monthly or weekly trainings and hands-on training performed by credible trainers worldwide. But the main problem for researchers to perform a high quality work is the problem of funding, which we will discuss there. During the last 5 years, a lot of my colleagues published in incredible journals, and some of them published in scientific reports and JAMA, and Lancet, and so on, through or after the training they have received through Egyptian Knowledge Bank, and the support during the publication process through scientific editing and language editing and so on. So it's excellent work done there, but still the problem of funding is there. How to do very good work, though you don't have infrastructure and the funding. Some of researchers still pay some of their salary for performing the research and for publishing.
All right, Nida, I think you have something to say. How do we go from here with the experience you have had so far? What should be the way forward? And I mean, you can contribute from the researcher's perspective, from the institutional perspective, from the journal perspective, and of course, the national perspective, how your government or ministries are contributing to changing this story to make African journals competitive enough and to be attractive to the African scientists. Nida.
I think the key word is changing. Everything should be changed to the international standards, so you can be within the international or the global level you want. Changing the policy of the universities, changing the policy of funding. One of my beliefs that in Sudan, it is a virgin area. A lot of researches can be done if you have the infrastructure is prepared well, and already we have the manpower to do what you want. And even the educational program, if it be changing to build up the research and to change from spoon feeding teaching mechanism to critical thinking mechanism, it will be more easily to have improvement and to increase the rate of research better than what we have it. Also, actually, I didn't have any experience of publishing in Sudanese journal, because I didn't think, even I have only 3 Sudanese journals that are in the African database, but they are not even indexed in PubMed. So it is a problem also here in Sudan. But I think the keyword is changing everything, and start from what already we have to grow up.
All right. I like the aspect you mentioned, Nidal, about changing around the teaching knowledge impact. I think that is quite fundamental because, like I said during my introduction, rarely do you have a system that prepares you with hands-on skills, even when you're doing your PhD. For most people, you begin to search for those skills after your PhD because the field you are in demands that you have those skills, but your university system does not give you those skills. You need to go out and start looking for them. I think that is very important when you say start changing it and start it on time. For instance, one of the policies I have when I supervise in this part of the world, clearly the PhD, you have to do article-based thesis. So the PhD student will write papers, at least 4 papers to defend. But since I started my career and supervising even master's students, when I have a master's student, the first thing I tell you, before I can take you to supervise you, is that your project needs to be published after your master's. So if you agree with that, then we can engage in the supervision. So all my master's students have to publish their research.
it is not just about me. One is that the material they will use to do their research is funded, and so we have the demands to publish them. But two is that going through the publishing process, even at your master's degree level, opens your landscape of thinking. It opens your opportunities. You have first-hand experience of what it takes to write a scientific paper, go through the publishing process, interact with the editors, align yourself and review. Align yourself with the reviewers' comments, address them. It has a way of preparing you. Okay, so what you said is very important, that the changing the training process and starting that in time, so that the researcher can begin to get exposed with what is required of them. All right, so that you don't start trying to amend things that you cannot really amend. But it's very important to also note that to publish good research, to publish in a good journal, you need good research. All right, you need good research. And to have a good research, you need to know how to do it. Okay, you need to know how to do it. And to do that, it doesn't come so easy. And that is one of the contributions ASFI is trying to make, to provide opportunity for people to develop their competencies, to think about these issues in the right direction, and not just thinking about them to advance their career, but to know that once you have declared yourself to be in the academic space, then there is a responsibility that is required of you to do it well, to do it competitively, and to develop your skills in the right direction. All right, let me go to Dr. Onwusulu. Can you give us a few words about what you think way forward?
Thank you, Professor Brent. The way forward, I think, by way of conclusion now, is still to highlight some of the things. But there's something I want to really say. A researcher in Africa has so many challenges. Like even the environment where we are working is not conducive. One of us that traveled to Kenya, one of the things he say, Dr. Onsu, can you imagine that Kenya, light doesn't even go off? So the environment is very, very important. You are battling with heat and all that, you can't really do much. And then access to databases. So that we have challenges in that area. You can only have maybe just something like Google Scholar or PubMed and nothing more. And then, so you are very, really constrained. So we need funding in those areas. If we can have, our libraries should be able to subscribe to so many databases so that we can have access to materials and all that. And then again, the salaries, the remuneration, very, very poor. So the researcher ideally should be highly remunerated for him to be able to do this work. Can you imagine the salary of a lecturer, maybe lecturer one or so, maybe about 140,000 or thereabout. So all remuneration is part of the problem. So that's still what funding will take care of, adequate remuneration through proper funding, and then equipping our laboratories and all that, making them to be of international standard so that people will be able to do the work. And then some of those policies should be really looked at that will encourage people to publish in African journals. Not really, insisting that unless you publish in foreign journals, you will not have your promotion. Some of those things, institutional review policies, and then reducing the cost for publishing in our local journals. All these things are very, very important. But even if it cannot be reduced, the institution should be able to help us to pay for our publication fee so that we'll publish in our local journals. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Omosulo, for those final points. I think there's still room to dig deeper into these issues we are discussing. There's still room. I know that there is there's a journal, Pan-African Medical Journal. I think that is one of the prominent ones nowadays. There's still room to discuss more, perhaps to dig into some of these journals to see actually what is happening in their space. But I am happy what we have discussed this evening, and I think for every one of us, it's good that we're highlighting this point. We have highlighted this evening to look at the issues happening in the medical health and biomedical sciences. And the feedback we can get from this evening is that the journals in Africa in this area, the processes involved are not optimal. We are not competitive globally, and there are different factors that are clearly there. From the researcher's perspective, you need to have the competencies, even though the researchers are blaming the institutions and government for everything. But when we bring the government and researchers, I think they will clash a lot, because government will say that they have provided you everything you need. You are not doing your work. And so researchers have their issues that they need to deal with, raising your competencies and then developing yourself to be globally competitive. And then you have the institutions, and you have very diagonal policies that are there that perhaps they are reviewed in a lifetime. I think those policies need to be reviewed regularly to make sense of them. And then you have the issues from the journals. The journals also have things to deal with. You have a journal that is active, but you search on the internet, you don't find that journal. You don't know, you don't see anything about it. Okay. So I think there is room for improvement before African journals can become competitive, globally competitive. There's room for improvement. And until we do that, it's we are in a dreamland. But this is a generation of change. This is a generation of change. And one of the things we are, as we mentioned last year, is that in ASFI, we are trying to develop a journal of excellence, a journal we think that will be a brand for the next generation of Africans, so that we can publish things that are exemplary. Even though there are many journals down there in Africa, but we're talking about journals that have excellence. The review process is rapid enough, is excellent review process, and give researchers the taste they need to be proud of what they are doing as researchers. Well, until then, I think we'll continue the discussion. So I thank the panel that we had this evening. We didn't have the complete panel, but at least this has given us some perspective. Dr. Nidal Essa from the University of Medical Science and Technology in Sudan. Thank you very much, Nidal, for this, taking your time to be here with us this evening and share your viewpoint. And then Dr. Daniel Omusulu from Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Nigeria. Thank you, Dr. Omusulu, for the opportunity. And then Emma, thank you for bringing those viewpoints, yes, from Egypt. So please just stay with us before I finish. The third edition for this year will be looking at the publishing in the field of engineering and technology. This evening we have looked at medicine and health sciences. What is happening in the field of engineering and technology? We want to also review that. So please join us on the 26th of March. And then Dr. Waro's research tips and tricks, 14th edition will be coming on 31st of March, and that will be on visibility. Visibility relates to also things, communication, publishing, but how are you to be known as a scientist? Please join us on the 31st of March to look at these issues. Just to remind you, if you have not registered for this course, it relates to what we are talking about this evening. Quality. How do you produce a quality study? The quality study is actually what can lead you to publish in an important journal. Productivity. How do you increase your productivity? And what is impact in your research? So for you to really have successful career, all aspects are needed. But how do you achieve them? This course will take you step by step from question conception to publishing. It is a very, very low cost course. We have reduced the price so much for SF members particularly. So please join us that. Yeah, so the course. All right, so thank you very much, everyone. I think we have to stop here. Thank you for staying with us. We are really in time this evening. All right, I wish you a very wonderful week. And for Nigeria, let's continue to pray for Nigeria. Nigeria is actually Africa's big brother, really, because what affects Nigeria will affect Sudan. And I hope Nidal agrees with that. Yeah. So let's pray that Nigeria will get it right this time. Okay, thank you very much, everyone, and I wish you a very wonderful.
Thank you, Prof. Good evening, and good afternoon for all of you. Good night. Thank you.
Good night. Good night. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, bro. Good night.
Good night. All right. Bye, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.